You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Happy holidays, I guess?
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football.
Come on, you foxes!
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform. Or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope, still pissed off. Good evening, this is Leicester Till I Die. You can watch and listen to us in the following places.
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform. Or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Well, I've had this today. Can you see? It's a letter from Specsavers. It's offering me I can book my free appointment. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to post that. I'm going to post that to Brendan Rodgers because he can't fucking see what's going on the pitch, can he?
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
But apparently, guys, we have gone into the record book this evening. We are the only clubs whose fans actually sing to the opposing fans. We bet you wish you could play us every week. I mean, how embarrassing is it getting? I mean, Brendan Rodgers, I'm reading, you're an elite manager. If you're a fucking elite manager, I'm Slimmer of the Year. Because I'll tell you something, Steve Bruce is a fucking more elite manager than you are at the moment. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, but he's won us the FA Cup. He's won us the Community Shield. No, he won us the FA Cup thanks to a VAR decision. Rightly or wrongly, we were that close to going into extra time or penalties, and we'd have probably lost it then anyway because we were on the defensive. Community Shield, we played a Man City second string team that half their fans couldn't even be bothered to come down and watch. I mean, you fooled us in Scotland. You actually made us think you were a half-decent manager. I appreciate what you're doing for the club, but this is where you earn your money. Maybe, we've always said about Ranieri. He won over 38 games. Not won a one-off Community Shield, not a 4-game run in the FA Cup. He won over 38 games. And I honestly think, like I say, you can't beat Steven Gerrard, who's been a manager for 5 minutes. You got beaten by your former player. What is going wrong? If you were a good manager, this is where you earn your money. And I don't want the excuse of, we had 7 players out. Lookman and Inacho were probably the only 2 that might have got into the squad that didn't make it. They had more players out than we did. 3 minutes they scored after? What the fuck? I mean, I just don't know what is happening. You've got an amazing squad. You've got the same squad that you've had for the last 2 seasons, where you've got us to 5th place and got us into Europe. Yeah, we're still in Europe. The Egg and Spoon Cup. I mean, maybe it's time that we actually look for a Rodgers replacement.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event of the evening. 60 minutes of football fun and banter with Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV. Are you ready? Let's get ready to rumble.
When I say fun, you know what I mean. I'm waiting for Josh and Brad. I'm not waiting for them. They're waiting on me. They're in the green room. I can see them now, and they're sort of tears. I'm just waiting for them to wipe the tears away. We're going to get a few comments before we bring them in. Facebook user, shite football, all a load of shite at the moment. No one looks forward for games. It's all the same old shite. I guess it's shite then, Facebook user. Respectively, something needs to change. Maybe that's Brendan. I don't know what, but something needs to change. Yeti Boy, good evening. How the devil are you? Roger out. He makes Ollie look competent in big games. Bicom, good evening. Sack Roger now. Or Roger. Well, what have you been up to tonight? There we go. Sack Rogers now. JJ, bring All Brighton on with 2 minutes to go. Clueless. It was injury time when he brought him on virtually, wasn't it? Terry, good evening. How the devil are you? Shambolic. Oh, yes, and that's being polite. Facebook user, nothing good about football anymore. It's all a load of shite. Are you on a sponsored word thing tonight, Facebook user? Myla, hello, Leicester fans. Hope you're all well. You better beat Newcastle for me. Look, and honestly, Myla, I know you're a Watford fan. Thanks for coming in. We couldn't beat Rochdale Women at the moment. And that's if only half of them turned up. Ranieri won us the Premier League. He did. And as I just said, over 38 games, that is good. You know, that isn't an achievement. Yeti Boy, we only won the FA Cup because of Tillemans and Casper Masterclass and VAR, as I said. Bcrom, Inacho won us the FA Cup, not Rodgers, and he gets benched as a reward. Well, I think he's ill tonight, actually. And I'm just realised I'm reading that one out and not put it up. David, we could have used Nacho today, unfortunate for his illness. I tell you what, we could have done with a $6 million fucking dollar man, and I still think we would have struggled with the other 10 Muppets on the pitch. Dan, good evening. How are you? I didn't see the game, but what was that squad selection tonight? You're playing Napoli, not Country. Dewsbury Hall goal was quality. Dewsbury Hall was the one shining light. JJ Sumari should have started over Tillemans. I didn't even think Tillemans was on the pitch, to be honest with you. David, Yuri was damn awful today. He put 2 injured players in, Bertrand and Yuri. Both excelled in mediocrity today. KDH and Daka were good. David, good evening. How the devil are you? Overtime, we've got to get something. He does the same each time. That's fuck it up. Indeed. And Max Pickering, good evening. So how the devil are you? Welcome along. Defence was abysmal. No, wait. It wasn't that good. It wasn't. I've had my rant. Who shall we bring in first? I'll tell you what. Let's do it together. Let's bring them in together, guys. We're still in Europe, aren't we?
Yeah, great. We're in the Europa Spurs League. Brilliant.
I'd personally.
I'm losing my voice here. I need a drink.
It's like getting dumped out of the Carabao Cup semi-finals and being told you're in the Johnson's Paint Trophy, so don't worry about it. Right.
I mean,
I don't think we should. I don't think third place should be able to drop down to a competition. And I know you made the same point about Champions League, Chris. I agree with it on all bases. I don't think the Champions League. I don't think you should get another shot at Europe if you can't make the top two.
No,
it's embarrassing.
No. I wouldn't say we were entitled to be in the conference, Josh. Definitely not. But I mean, had we actually, let's say we had finished fourth and got into the Champions League, we would have been totally embarrassed with the way we've been playing this season, wouldn't we?
Without doubt, mate. I agree totally with you too. I mean, the old Conference League thing for me is it's neither here nor there, unfortunately. I mean, I guess the only positive ways you look at it is, you go on to win it and you guaranteed Europa League football next season, but we ain't going to do that, are we? So it's, I don't know. I mean, I personally, for me, you shouldn't really say it as a fan, but I'd have just rather gone out completely, being honest. I really would have.
Well, Spurs don't want to be in there, and Arsenal had lads them up. So you're quite right to say that. I mean, help me out here, Brad. I mean, Dewsbury Hall, I think that was possibly the one and only bright spark tonight. But even relying on Legia to score a penalty to put us through, I mean. And he couldn't even do that. It's just embarrassing, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the thing is, first of all, let's not get too angry or carried away with some of the things that are being said. I mean, we didn't just win the FA Cup because of one particular player or two particular players. The credit has to go to Rodgers on that one. I mean, we beat Brighton, we beat Southampton, we beat Manchester United, we beat some good teams on our way to that final. We were very deserving. 4 games,
was it? 4 games?
It doesn't matter. So that's exactly how many they had to play. They got there. We won it, mate. It's our first FA Cup. Come off it. Don't turn into one of them fans that starts every time it goes wrong for the manager, suddenly when it weren't actually the manager. Because people did that with Ranieri. Ranieri was a god to everybody, and then as soon as he got sacked, well, it was Pearson's team. No, let's just stop with that. We wonder why managers don't spend long at clubs. This is why they see a hype, and when it starts going wrong, they're glad to get out the door.
But again, Brad, it was Pearson's team, and as soon as he brought his own players in, as you said the other night,
what's the point in being a manager then? What's the point in him coming in second job? What's the point in having a manager? Why didn't we just stick with Pearson then? Why didn't we just forget what Pearson did in Thailand with us, and why didn't we just keep him? Because there was obviously Pearson was going to guide us to the league title. No, let's start putting some credit on what they do for a job when they win things. Just because it's going bad and it's going wrong doesn't suddenly change the fact.
Paid the big bucks
because you can come at me all you like with this, mate. I'm still going there, right? Because when we won the damn thing, everybody was praising what Rodgers was doing to the club. Why is it when it's going wrong, all of a sudden it wasn't him, it was one or two players?
It's called football. It's called football.
Without saying that about the FA Cup, it's an absolute joke. One person did win this FA Cup. It was a team effort, ran by a manager. Give some goddamn respect to managers when they goddamn win something.
I'm sorry, no respect at all when we lose anything. He gets paid.
Sack Rodgers, sack Vardy, sell Maddison.
What did Vardy do today? What did Vardy do today?
Didn't score in the FA Cup final. Casper didn't, Morgan didn't do anything in the FA Cup final, so he's gone. Get rid of him. Get rid of him.
Who do we blame then?
Do anything in the FA Cup final? No, you're saying it was a one-man team that won the FA Cup final. So everybody else.
I never said it was a one-man team.
You literally said it, mate. You literally sat here and said we won it because of VAR, and they're telling me
that's not a one-man's team. VAR and one-man's team is not the same.
We beat Chelsea at the end of the day over 90 minutes with a better side and won it. We won our 4 games to get there. So let's put some respect when we actually win things.
And look where we are now, Josh. I mean, we are so low down at the moment. I mean, I'm sorry. He's the 4th highest paid manager in the league.
Did he get us?
And I tell you what. Then, if you listen to what Robbie Savage said today, we have probably got about the 9th, 10th most expensive squad. So maybe we're about where we should be in the league. But I don't care if your staff are bad at work. I've been a team leader. I've been a manager. if one of my team wasn't selling or had got bad figures, it was me that got the bollocking, me that was all over the coals to go in and sort him out. That's why Rodgers is the 4th highest paid manager, is it not, Josh?
I guess that's the thing. I mean, I agree. I do agree with. I agree with Brad regarding the cup run and things like that. At the end of the day, if Perez, Albrighton, Barnes don't score the goals against Stoke, we don't get to the final, we don't get to the semi-finals and such. But having said that, it has sort of gone both ways. I mean, as football fans, we are fickle, and there's times tonight where, as much as we can blame Brett, I questioned Brendan's substitutions tonight, and the first comment that came up regarding the Albrighton substitution, that baffled me at the time. I couldn't actually believe it. So I will question him on that, but for me personally, I don't think you can really pin the loss on Rodgers tonight. As bad as it sounds, it was just 3 total fuck-ups defensively, really. And unfortunately for Brendan, he cannot... I know he sets us up to play a certain way, but you look at all of their goals tonight, and they can easily be avoided with defending better. Defensive. The defenders in better positions. I mean, the first goal, obviously, Soyuncu, I don't know what he was doing with the pass into Tielemans. For that, absolutely blasted it at him like he wanted to kill him with it. The second goal, Bertrand playing him onside, and then the third goal is just a pass across the face goal, just past 4 defenders. So, for me personally, tonight, I totally understand where everybody's coming from regarding maybe wanting Rodgers out. For me, I'm still very much Rodgers in. I think purely for the fact he's got a lot of credit in the bank with finishing 5th twice and winning the FA Cup.
So that credit, tonight, let's say we finish 18th and we get relegated, do we keep him because he's won us a couple of trophies?
I understand that. I totally agree with what you're saying, but I'd like to think by that point, if we are obviously in that sort of position coming towards the end of the season, then you've got to look at it and think, well, his time's up, he's got to go. I mean, I still more hope than belief that he can turn it round. The craziest thing is, whether we're in a false position league or not, we are where we are, but win a couple of games and we could still be in with the chance of the top 6. That shows how sort of bad below the top 3 teams, how bad the Premier League is, to say that we've got a chance of that, considering how shit we've played all season. Like I say, mate, I'm still Rodgers in, but I think over the next, I'd say it's a big month coming up for him. There's plenty of football to be played, especially in the Premier League. I'd say he's probably got another 2 or 3 games before I think the board will make a decision, to be honest. And Newcastle's massive on Sunday for him. It's huge.
I think personally, and there's no, Dan, can I just say there's no need to talk about your good lady in that manner. And if she's watching this, I hope she gives you a slap for that. Brad, I mean, I don't think he'll be gone in January, and I think he should be given the season to turn it round, because the season is 38 games, 2 cups and Europe. However, he's had so far 22 games with Europe, with the Premier League, and a Coca-Cola, whatever cup it is now, and we're still as bad. Now, if he's not turned it round, or if he can't see what's wrong after 22 games, will he be able to see maybe after, I don't know what it will be at the end of the season, 50 games or whatever we played? That's what I'm saying. If he's this elite manager that everybody says we've got, then why hasn't he sort of at least sorted out? Because the same things we're seeing game after game after game.
Yeah, and look, I agree with what's just been said there by Josh. If it continues in this form of manager, don't get it twisted. Whilst I'll angrily defend anybody that comes out and starts saying all of a sudden that it wasn't Brendan and individuals and what we've won under his tenure, I don't get it twisted. If this continues, he will lose this job of Leicester as Leicester City manager. And it won't end the way he originally planned it to at Leicester, which was probably getting a job that has come available over the last few weeks, the sort of jobs that have been coming available, like the Manchester United job, etc. He was obviously hoping to leave on good terms. But if this does keep up, you know, I'm with Josh on this. I'm always going to faithfully back the manager. I do want him to get it turned around, but I am no idiot in the sense that I totally expect, with the way our owners work, that if we start dropping down to 15th, 14th, 15th, he won't be here in January. I'd be very firm in saying that Rodgers continues this, he's probably got 3 or 4 games. And if this continues, then he won't be in charge of Leicester.
I think and you know, I play devil's advocate here to stir things up and get things going. And you may have noticed, but no, that's my job, in fairness. And I hope Rodgers can turn it around, because I think he is a good manager, and we are looking at a long-term project. We're not looking at a 1 year, 2 year stint. But Josh, you said there about us underperforming this year. Have we overperformed? Were we punching above our weights the last two seasons?
I think it sort of maybe towards the end of last season and maybe this season for me to sort of come to the conclusion that we've got a lot of players that depend on confidence in the self. I know that sounds daft, because it's, you know, obviously the more games you win, the more confident you're going to be. But it's players like, you know, you look at Soyuncu, he's gone to pot, really. He really has. You know, he does all right, fits and starts. He has, at the minute, he has the odd good game here and there. Maddison, when he's confident on his game, as we've seen, you know, for the last before tonight, probably 2 or 3 games where we thought we were getting the old Maddison back. Again, it's obviously when confidence ain't high, you ain't going to win games, and that goes without saying. But I don't really think we've got anybody in the team at the minute that's just going to just grab the game by the scruff of the neck and say, "Listen, you know, this ain't on, this ain't right." I said at the start of the season when Morgan retired, and obviously I know Schmeichel were captain for the majority of last season, even though Morgan was club captain. I don't think this is just a little thing, really. You know, I'm not saying this to be all and end all, but we need a lead. We need an actual proper leader on the pitch, a captain on the pitch, because when it ain't going right, we need to. You know, you need somebody at least in the middle of the park to say, "Listen, lads, you know, this is what we need to do." Rather than Casper at the other end of the pitch shouting things when players can't hear him and such. So it's just little things like that, really. I know it's small things, but in the grander scheme of things, I don't know, maybe a change in that could lift it. I'm just literally probably clutching at straws, really, more than anything, because other than that, I don't know. I don't know how this turns around, to be honest with you. I really don't.
We've got a vote going on the. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a vote where you can vote. If you're not watching on YouTube, you can't vote on it, unfortunately. So get over YouTube, subscribe, please, and have a vote. It's basically simple question: are you Rodgers in or out? And at the moment, it's 50% both ways. Brad, Joe's comment there. Winning the FA Cup sounds over a terrible year from January. I mean, yes, from both last 2 seasons, we did fall away at the end of the season, and I'm not comparing the 2 managers at all. But 2 words: Peter Taylor. We had a great run in with him. We were top of the league. We lost a game, and then it all went tits up. We went down, and again, you know, if we stay up this season, it might be because other teams are actually worse than us. But if it carries on into next season, you know, well, we're going to have this brand new, you know, extended stadium and amazing area around it in the second tier.
Yeah, and obviously that will be the case if it does get worse. I just don't see it. I think Leicester, on a general and a whole basis, are far better as a club, not just financially, but how they're run. And as we've seen with our owners, you know, short memories, they went through a lot of managers in the Championship. Let's not forget that as well. But what they've also done is made these appointments with the best intentions in mind. they will act if Leicester, they'll act in 3 or 4 games' time if Leicester haven't changed their results and are still losing games and are heading in the wrong direction. He'll be quick to act and get someone in to change the fortunes around. The difference is, and we sat here, Chris, and I'm sure you were here at some point as well, Josh, no doubt, sat here when it came to that running, and it wasn't quite falling away in the league, but we were seeing a much more progressive improvement in the FA Cup performances, and then they were dropping in the league. There was also a lot of us here saying that it looks like, even us as fans were going, FA Cup, I'm not bothered about Champions League, we'll get the FA Cup. And maybe it's kind of counteract what you add to what you were saying about Leicester overachieving in the last few years. Maybe the owners, especially last season, went, we're probably not going to get a better chance to win the FA Cup than what we're doing after, remember when we got to the League Cup semi-finals and was knocked out by Villa, shock horror, I hate that team. That the focus and emphasis was on silverware as more than league success. And I think this year, Leicester owners were expecting to find that fine balance where they'd get out of the Europa group and do well in it well enough in the league to still be competing for Europe. It's not gone well in Europe. Might not be the most desirable cup of coffee or tea to lift up at the end of the season, but you would look at it if Leicester finished 6th but won the Europa League Conference. All of a sudden, it's, well, we scraped into Europe, but actually we won the competition that we needed to get European football anyway as well. So we double assured it. It all depends what happens over the next month and a half for me. Depends on where Leicester are going to do this season, if they're going to turn it around.
It's a difficult month, though, Josh, December, to look at, but then again, it would just be like Leicester to go past Liverpool in the Carabao Cup and get into the semis, to beat Manchester on Boxing Day, to beat Liverpool in the second game and then lose to Newcastle and Everton.
It wouldn't surprise you. It genuinely wouldn't. I think this season's it's totally been a season of inconsistency for us. We're 2 or 3 games ago, you're looking at it, we excuse me, we'd had the win in the Europa League, we went on to beat Watford, and then you sort of going into the Southampton game thinking, oh yeah, sound, this is winnable, this is, and then you get a draw out of that, which is a game we should have won really. And then, like you say, now we've lost 2 games on the bounce, and you're thinking, when's the next win going to come really? I agree totally, mate. When we were messaging during the game, I says I literally cannot predict anything anymore this season because I don't know what Leicester I'm going to get, what Leicester's going to come out and watch. Although I will say, I think the last few games, I think attacking wise we've been a lot better. We seem to be creating more chances than what we were usually. I think we're sort of slowly improving on breaking teams down. Maybe we're not right there just yet, but I think we're getting there with that. So if I were Brendan, I'd just say, you know what, attackers, you go on the other pitch, do what you want, and then just spend a good week with the defender, just concentrating on defence for me. Yeah. But yeah, it's just inconsistency, mate, and unfortunately, I think we're just going to have to suck it and see this season and hope for the best, really.
I'm playing this more and more often.
My answer is I don't have the first damn clue.
But maybe actually Brad is a bit of a psychic and he knows how we're going to play.
An attack. Matty Cap, I believe it was, had a shot. That's getting edited out, isn't it? That's getting YouTube.
Yes, we were shat. But Brad, are you with us, Brad?
Yeah, that was coming.
Yeah, are you still there? Good. When you look at the team and the squad that we had, I was very confident.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team every week, and it's detriment to the work we've done in the transfer window. I mean, granted, due to a few circumstances at the club, the bench was probably a bit stripped of, imposing.
I don't know. We've got what's he called? Ewing from Dallas, the TV show. Bobby Ewing. He was available on the bench, and you know, Brendan's gone and got Jason McAteer out of retirement to sit on the bench for us.
Prime Jason McAteer.
Yeah, played for us as well, didn't he? For a bit.
But I mean, looking at that, I mean, they said. If you brought, if you picked that team, Brad, on a Saturday, we'd be happy with that, wouldn't we? It was a good team.
Yeah, and again, there's probably not too many teams, sides that you could put together with Leicester's 25-man squad that wouldn't be looked on as a bad thing. It'd be looked on as a very good, a very good starting 11, but. The problem is, mate, that, like we're sick of conceding from corners and talking about it every week. I'm sick of saying it about the team. I'm sick of looking at a team going, that looks good. And then wondering what happens on the pitch, because it's just a bit baffling sometimes, because it doesn't matter what lineup it is, it doesn't matter what shape it is. We all agree that it looks good. We can all say, all right, yeah, that's not bad considering who's on the pitch. That's probably the formation we expected, and blah, 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 and all this rubbish. But it's no good if it's not doing it on the pitch. And unfortunately for Leicester right now, they just cannot seem to get it started and on a consistent basis. I mean, 3 tonight, 2 against Villa, 2 against Southampton, 2 against Arsenal, 2 against Chelsea. Maybe you could say, all right, Chelsea, they're in good form, you could accept it. But 2 against Brighton, we cannot go the rest of the season conceding 2 goals, because we're not going to keep outscoring opponents. This is exactly what the commentators said. Leicester players are going into these games thinking we've got to score 2 to win this. But I mean, at the start of the game, Josh, we had a good chance ourselves that was just missed. Barnes put a good cross in. Was it Castagna, I think, that shot it straight at the goalkeeper? But then 4 minutes in, 4 minutes, and we're 1 down. Are we trying to break a record? I think somebody said, and have conceded the quickest goal in European football history. At this rate, the opposition will score before we've kicked off.
I'll be honest with you, mate. I literally just tuned in as we had that chance. I left the room, took a toilet, come back, and I'll be honest. When I seen we're 1-0 down, I showed no emotion really. It was just a case of, oh well, there's the obligatory at least 1 goal we're going to concede. It just doesn't surprise me, mate, anymore when we concede. I think I'll be more shocked when we actually get a clean sheet. I think, and we've said this a few times this season, mate. It's just a case of it's going into every game thinking we know we're going to concede, so we need to at least score 2 just to win, really. Yeah. And I think I read somewhere tonight that so far this season, across all competitions, we've conceded like 40 goals, which is crazy. It's ridiculous. It is, Brad. It is. If it carries on, then I don't. But the thing is, it's like we had the majority of this back line last season. Well, we did have the more or less the whole back line last season, and I can't remember us being this bad defensively. Like, I know obviously towards the end of the season we were losing games, but I can't remember us being this bad defensively. And every time, you can see the set piece or a corner and you think to yourself, God, like, there's a massive chance they could score this, because just look at total 6s and 7s. And I think, to be fair, the one positive I take out of it is we've conceded that many goals this season now. I completely feel numb to it. Whereas before I used to get really angry. Now I'm just like, well, it is to be expected. And it's sad. Yeah. It's sad to think that, but that's just the way it's going at the minute, unfortunately.
2-0 down after 24, Brad, and it was role reversal from King Power.
Yeah, it was. And there's a real big issue that Leicester seem to have with slow starts. And it's not just slow starts to the game in general, it's slow starts to both sets of halves. Because the first 20 minutes was fairly slow, but we were slower and less awake, and even though we were probably edging the game on in terms of controlling and looking, excuse me, looking the livelier of the two sides, we found ourselves 2-0 down because we were just getting caught out. I'll touch on it on the segment on the tactical part, but it's this defensive, the way we tend to move across the pitch to try and press our opponent. We do it. We have not changed that. And I don't think we've changed the way we approach trying to hustle our opponents in about 12 to 14 months. But it wasn't, I don't think there was any zonal marking today. I could have been wrong. I didn't see all the corners there. I don't think Napoli had that many. And to be fair,
I don't think we've gone back to marking ourselves yet. I think that was,
no, we definitely haven't gone to having
game.
a huddle. No, we definitely haven't gone back to having a huddle with ourselves, which was really embarrassing. The less about it, the better. But the problem is we're trying to say it's almost as if they're going, oh, right, well, that was the issue. Right, we'll fix that. And then the rest of his staff or whatever are going, yeah, but boss, there's this issue as well. No, we'll fix that issue. That will solve the problems. It does seem sometimes like Leicester are trying to only fix one problem at a time, but instead of working on that one problem, going, right, now we've got that, let's keep working on that problem, but let's shift our attention and training to fixing the other problem and combining it in. Well, it's like, well, that worked for a bit, now it's not. What other problem is it? Well, this is the problem. All right, well, now we'll fix that, forgetting that we haven't still completely fixed the first problem. It's just, it is baffling. It's baffling. And the same thing happens on the training ground, mate. I can't remember the last time I watched a training ground Leicester City video they uploaded where I didn't hear the words 5-yard pass, 5-yard pass, 5-yard pass, pass. Can you say fucking drills, mate?
Great accent there. Sounds nothing like your. It sounds nothing like. I can never remember which Tory have we got, Colo or you? Was it Colo?
I don't know, mate. I don't know, but you hear.
It didn't sound like him anyway. But I mean,
Colo.
Josh. I mean, when I look at the figures, but to back that up, do you know which of our players has probably, well, not probably, has done the most passes this season, Josh?
I'd probably say Johnny Evans, Soyuncu.
Well, you're quite right there. It is actually Soyuncu.
Yeah.
Now
you're telling me
you're on about actual passes that have made it to the team.
They just call it passes on the Leicester City website. You know?
Yeah, that's probably why then.
Tillemans has got 532, Soyuncu 806, because we were still passing it around at the back. I mean, we weren't as bad as we have been, and I don't think with the zonal marking, he does seem to sort of maybe kick that on the head as he said he was going to, but there was no urgency about the team, was there? We were 2-0 down, and then Johnny Evans, and I'm sure this would have pissed Craig off because he doesn't like Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans scored his second goal in a few games, and I unfortunately, because my link was streaming, I didn't see the Dewsbury Hall goal, but it was suddenly 2-2, and we didn't take it. We were on the up, they were on the ropes, and we didn't take advantage, did we?
Oh, was that to me or Josh?
That was to Josh. Sorry.
Yeah, we seem to sort of take us foot off the gas a bit. They were there for the taking tonight, I think. At 2-2, I mean, I know we were messaging, and at 2-2, I thought, you know what, we could genuinely go on and win this. And I thought if we got the third and the fourth had come, and there was one point, I mean, it was 2-2, probably about 5 minutes into the second half. And again, it's just a prime example of, I think I love Harvey Barnes, and I think he's got the ability to become. It sounds like a bit of an over-exaggeration, but he's got the ability, he's got the ability to become one of the best wingers in the league. I personally believe that he's got the pace. When he drives at defenders, he could be quite effective. But there were one point, like I say, about 5 minutes into the second half, where sometimes it's just like he's got tunnel vision, where he was running down the left and Castagna is in absolutely acres of space on the right. All he's got to do is slip him in, and it's a chance to go 3-2 up, really. Either Castagna shoots or he cuts it back and somebody else has a shot. I'm screaming at the TV, like I couldn't believe that he didn't find him. And it's little things like that where you look back on it now and you think, God, that's a massive chance that is. And you go 3-2 up and they'll come at us more, and then we could catch them on the counter. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to sort of analyse it straight after the game because your emotions are all over the place, isn't they? But
well, that's why the shows are so much fun. Although Brad will be showing us all how to do a good analytic review of the game later on. But Brad, second half, I mean, we conceded after 4 minutes in the first half. We conceded after 7 minutes in the second half. I mean, I just don't know what we've got this expensive training facility. What are we doing it on there other than getting all the players injured?
Honestly, I'm struggling to know because right now, our defence is such a shambles. I think they'd miss a 3-yard putt on the new training golf course, wouldn't they? You wouldn't want them on your golfing side because you'd feel like they'd mess that up somehow, wouldn't they? Because it's just, it's a very negative. Or you could look at it in a different way and say maybe it's an over cockiness approach to defending. I really don't like the way we go about it because, and again, I'll come on to it, but we leave ourselves so open on one side or the other. And the way we go about it is if to go, well, if you don't go that way, you're not going this way, you're not going that way, so go for it. And every opposition, you look at our goals over the last 4 or 5 weeks, you'll probably see it's a ball that's stuck on the one side. They wiggle away from it because we're not quite pressing enough to pick up the second and third ball, well, even if we do get an interception. And then all of a sudden, it's pinged out to the opposite side and they've got 20 yards to run, either direct towards the goal or on that other side and have a free chance to put the ball in the net. And you just can't do that at any level, let alone in a European competition and in the Premier League, because you're going to get absolutely scolded for it, and we're getting scolded for it. Like I said, just to name the teams again that I named that we have conceded two or more goals against. Even when we've won, Man United and Watford, we've conceded to. This group. I mean, I said to you before we came on, didn't I, Chris and Josh? I said to you both that we didn't lose. We didn't get knocked out of Europa League on tonight's performance. We got knocked out on tonight. We got knocked out on the Liga Warsaw defeat, the 1-1 draw. We proved that we're very fortunate that Patson Daka was an absolute Super Saiyan, if you know Dragon Ball Z, against Moscow, because we conceded 3 then and just about did it because of Patson Daka. And tonight, again, it was the collective performances over 6 games is the reason we are not in this competition anymore. The damage was already done, I don't mind losing to Napoli 3-2 to a degree, because if you'd have told me at the start of the season, that's your group, I'd have looked at Napoli and Leicester and gone, I'll take not losing at home and maybe nicking a draw at Napoli. But the fact that the other results have been just as poor, minus the 2 wins, is the reason we're out tonight. So, this is just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I did say, Josh, in one of the other shows, it was the group of death. When you look at our last 2 attempts in Europe, in the Champions League, we couldn't have picked a better group if we'd have, chosen it ourselves. And, last season as well in the Europa League, it was a very easy group compared to what we've got now. And, if we were being honest, and taking off the blue tinted spectacles, I don't know if they've arrived yet or not, Brad, but take off the blue tinted spectacles, then, it was going to be a tough game. You've got teams in there that are actually used to playing in the Champions League. But again, they aren't good enough at the moment to do it. But it was like that Group F in the Euros, wasn't it? Anybody could have gone through at different times of the night.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, Napoli was always going to be tough. I mean, the home game, you got to think that we were lucky to get a draw. To be honest with you, I know we were 2-0 up, and then they pulled, but they had plenty of chances that night, and they had the first team out really. So, but tonight is like what Brad says. I mean, you don't mind as much as we could all say Napoli they're a footballing giant really. They're playing European football, whether it be Champions League, Europa League. They're used to playing in these competitions. But what's frustrated me tonight is that the team they've put out, they were there to be got at. They really were, and it was a massive chance for us tonight. And again, it's just three complete cock-ups defensively. That has cost us. I mean, I know, going back to what Brad says, it's not just tonight where we've failed in the group. It is over the course of the campaign, and it really is. And we've not done enough. And you go back to the Legia Warsaw missing a penalty tonight, which could have put us through. It'd have just papered over the cracks, mate. It'd be something that personally I'd have been a bit embarrassed about, to be honest with you. Had it gone our way, because we wouldn't, we wouldn't have deserved to have gone through. And fair play.
We'd have got knocked out by Barcelona, mate.
Yeah. But in fairness, Brad, when you look at the group and Spartak Moscow, I mean, Napoli are one of the favourites to win it outright, the whole thing. And Spartak Moscow have gone through top of that group, deservedly so. They beat Napoli, who are one of the favourites to win the whole thing, twice in this group. When they've played them, they've beaten them twice. And of course, I mean, they were, was it 3-0 up against us at one point? And drew 1-1. So they deserve it, don't they?
No, they do. And look, as disappointing as it is to end this group in third place, it kind of just to touch on the point you just made. This is, and whether we like it or not, we can sit here and go, yeah, but on paper we shouldn't be finishing third in this group, and maybe we shouldn't be. We probably shouldn't be on paper. We should probably definitely be getting top two. But this is only our third European venture. On technicality or not, we've still continued our European journey for the third European venture in a row. And then teams in there probably have 30 European ventures collectively between them, if not Napoli on their own. I wouldn't be surprised with how long they've been established as a European side for. So maybe the expectation needs to be reined in a little bit from us as fans. Maybe we should have looked at this group and gone, well, third year, only our second in Europa League. It doesn't matter how good your squad is, unless you're putting out a Man City or a Liverpool or a Chelsea style squad. We've seen it. Look at Arsenal, pure biggest example. Look at their squad. Struggled. Tottenham got knocked out by a bunch of plumbers and plasterers, last season. Manchester United, yes, they made the final, but David De Gea couldn't save anyone. So, they were doomed to lose that. But Arsenal have gone out. They finished 8th. Tottenham are so poor, they're trying to get out of the conference that's made for them. So maybe we need to, this is a reality check for the fans, that we look at the next European venture, whenever that is. Hopefully it's next season. And if we get a similar sort of group, we look at that and go, okay, this is going to be tough. This isn't going to be a pushover. We're going to have to really be on our game. And there'll be things that happen over January and in the summer where maybe we continue with these. I don't want to say like ease off on these gems like your Mahrez's and your Fofanas, etc., and your Tillemanses, but maybe looking at these players that have played in the Champions League and Europa League and are in the 30s, because they have done as well. The Robert Hoofs and the Vicente Iborras, and the Morgans in their. Well, Morgan more in his earlier 30s than his late 30s for us, but that goes without saying for Morgan. But, maybe we do need that experienced head that's 28 to 30 in the team for the next 4 years that can maybe, and I'd agree with the statement, that we put the captain's armband on maybe someone that's outfield. I feel maybe that's what we need, because I feel that's what we're lacking. We're lacking something.
We are. I mean, I you know, you sell me on that straight away because I don't, nothing against Casper. I just don't agree with goalkeepers as captains. But Josh, something that Brad mentioned there, he mentioned Manchester City. I mean, let's not forget, up until recently, they were, well, they still are, I suppose, one of the richest clubs in the world. I mean, they qualified for the UEFA Cup when they came back, sort of, you know, the late 2000s, when they had the new owners. They only got into it the first couple of seasons by the fair play entry. They didn't actually qualify for it. And then in the first one, they got knocked out in the second round. In the second one, they did get through to the quarterfinals. And then in the Europa League, the season after, by finishing fifth, they got knocked out in the round of 16. But then in 2011-12, then again, you know, but for the first 3 or 4 seasons, as Brad made the point there, they weren't getting past, really. They're only just getting out of the group and not always managing that.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, because the game's just finished, I've not thought about it rationally. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I think you're right. You know, we do look at it as with blue tinted spectacles, mate. We really do, because we just want the best for our club, and you know, we obviously we want to win every game. But I think obviously the thing that maybe don't help, maybe it don't help us, but like with the media buy-ins, you know, the Premier League, the best league in the world, and by all means, it probably is. So you sort of expect English teams to do a lot better than what maybe they do, especially in like the Europa League, you could say. So. I don't know. I mean, now you've said that, it's maybe not feel too bad, to be honest with you, because look at where Man City are now. We might look back on this in 6-7 years as Champions League winners, Premier League, multiple Premier League winners, and we'll probably look back at this footage of ourselves and piss ourselves, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you down a bottle of brandy before you said that?
but it's true. It was, you know, what Brad said. This is only our 3rd season in Europe, and yes, you know, we all get passionate, and the better we do, the better we expect to do. And I mean, I think I've said this to you before, Brad, whether the last 2 seasons we have overperformed, and you know, we other teams that have now caught us up. I mean, yeah. Let me just come to you on this one then, because you both said Rodgers may go in January time. Who would you bring in? Brad, first of all.
Yeah, I'll let Brad go first.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. I'll find that bus for you to throw me under. Yeah. I mean, it's not the easiest one. I mean, I know they're not doing great at the moment, and I can't really see it. And people might again jump at the form, but there was a few facts to go along with it. Funny I use that word, but I could see us prying Rafa out of Everton. And people might say, oh, Everton, look at where they are, Brad. Not a chance. You look at their structure, the way Everton and the board have dished out the money and who they've had in charge and who they keep sacking. It's not a surprise that Everton are actually so disjointed. Managers barely get a year. They don't actually get a lot of money in comparison, and more managers are expected to give instant success on a basis of they've got to get rid of the players that are no good in their eyes and try and bring in a player that, you know, they've got to replace these 4 or 5 players with about 60-70 million. And all right, Rafa didn't really spend much, but we don't know what he was able to spend, if it was anything at all. And that Everton team, minus Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, and maybe 1 or 2 others, is actually probably just a glamorous Newcastle. I still think Rafa is a good job. Hell, I'd take Jose Mourinho.
I would have taken Steve Bruce at the start, if you remember. Josh, are you who in your mind could take over from Brendan?
If he says Graham Potter, you're sacked.
I was going to say that.
Craig Levein, and bring in Alan Mabry and Mark De Vries as his coaches.
Hey, I think Mark McGee's still in management, isn't he?
I don't.
I only asked this because somebody's going to ask it before the end of the show, so I thought I'd get it out of the way.
Yeah, I don't think we get in a manager from another club. I think it'd be someone out of work. So, how many sort of good managers are out of work, really?
Yeah.
Get Roy Hodgson out of retirement. There's your answer, Josh.
Somebody said,
get Roy. Roy Hodgson. He'd get
Hodgson.
Vardy taking corners.
So somebody said to me the other day, we were chatting to somebody at work, and he were a Derby County fan. We was talking about football, and he was saying, "He said, who would you get in then? Who would you get in?" Because I just says, there's, like we said tonight, chances are if nothing gets sorted in the next 3 or 4 games, then Rodgers could be out really. And he was saying, "Who would you want?" And I could like tonight. I genuinely couldn't give an answer, but he was talking about Allardyce, and I laughed at the time, right? But he did say, defensively he'd sort you out, which is fair enough, but I couldn't live with that type of football, unfortunately. I mean, and I do like Allardyce, I really do.
Maybe we should get 3 managers in: a manager for the defence, a manager for the midfield, and a manager for the attack.
Like they do in American football, do that sort of thing.
Yeah. David S., I just want to come. You've said there you don't want to compare, but how many years have West Ham been in it? With their tight squad, they've made mincemeat of their group while still performing great in Premier League. So no, we bottled it. Sorry. I think if you speak to any West Ham fan, and I've spoken to a few this season, they will admit, as I did earlier for last season, they have got an easy group in the Europa. They've got the group in the Europa that we had last season. And they couldn't believe their luck. It's the group they would have chosen. And yes, I think if we'd have been in that group, no guarantee, but I think we might have done a bit better.
Not only that, just on that, Chris, and I think you're absolutely spot on. You could. He's right. He's saying you don't want to compare how many years West Ham have been in it, but you look at West Ham's season this season in the league and in their Europa League campaign, pretty much identical to us last season. Yep. So it's like that really. So yeah, you're spot on with that, Chris. Really, I mean, having the group that they have is helped them out, and they're going great guns in the league. But seeing if they can consecutively do it, which remains to be seen.
And see if they can stay up there as well. Dan says here, if there's one thing I admire from this stream is the passion. Maybe this should be played to the players in a team meeting. Not to quote Warner, but you've got to die to get 3 points. I'll remind you of that after weekend results, Dan. How many points have Burnley got? I know what you're saying, though, Dan. I know what you're saying. We're not going to be in Europe next season. Maybe that might be not a bad thing. It may be a couple of seasons to get us back in. As I've often said, this season might be our reality check season. And then next season, when we, if we don't have Europe and we can concentrate on the Premier League, who knows? Bcom, Jose Mourinho, no. I wouldn't have him if you paid me. Big Sam announced Allardyce, says Dan, you can have him, mate. Big Sam says Michael. Scott, Frank Lampard with John Terry's assistant. Dan
Bridge on the staff as well.
Yeah, jokes aside, Dyche would work wonders defensively. Emery, maybe. That would be a laugh. Rafa comes and brings Gray with him.
Oh, God.
I mean, let's. I mean, when you look at the stats, it was pretty even, and I know you're not a stat man at all, really, Brad. But looking at those, I mean, big chances, pretty equal, passes, pretty equal, touches, pretty equal, tackle. It was an even game. But I just don't understand why, when we've been 2 down and we've come back, why couldn't we come back? Because we didn't, seem to had a couple of chances. But, it was like, we can't do this again.
Well, it's because we rattled Napoli. Napoli did the job. They saw 2-0, and you could tell by the manager's reaction to how quickly they conceded at 2-0 up. And coming in at half time, you could tell the manager was really annoyed that his players just seemed to go 2-0 up and then just go, that's it, that's the game, we've done what we needed to do, Leicester won't come back, la da da, drinks are on me, sort of thing. But when Leicester got level, and again, I'll touch on it in a minute or two when we get to it, but the thing is, Leicester were probably the more attacking side out of the pair of them. Out of the pair of the teams tonight, they probably had or attempted to create half chances at least, if not actual chances. The biggest problem is as soon as we had a slow start to the second half and Napoli got themselves in front, there's something about a team like Napoli that if you play that way, where they literally dropped off an extra 5 yards onto our team as they already were. I mean, their goal, we had 2-on-3 in the box. And when we were crossing it into the box, it didn't matter who had the ball, whether it's Dewsbury Hall, whether it's Bertrand, whether it was Castagna crossing that ball into the box, it was 5-on-2 in Napoli's favour. You're never, ever going to score a goal if you're crossing it into 2 blokes against 5 or 6 defenders. Just not going to. I mean, maybe if less defending because they can't defend corners, but apart from us, nobody else is going to concede from a cross from 40 yards out when there's 6 people marking 2. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. And that was, you have to give credit to Napoli to be able to manage that game the way they did, because they stifled us. You know, we needed that momentum to swing so far in our favour in that first half that we needed to probably come in that first half 3-2 up, not 2-all. Yeah. But again, because we took so far, we shouldn't have been 2-0 down in the first place if we wanted to win this tonight.
Well, I think it's that time. So, Brad, this is where you and me can go and use the toilet and get something to eat and put the kettle on. So we're going to have just a few minutes here of Brad's tactical review of the game.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to try and yet again solve the issue that Leicester City can't seem to fix. So today's lesson, we figured that they can actually defend from set pieces and not have to zone or mark and hug each other, but they're still making other mistakes. And the one I really want to touch about is Leicester, the high press errors that Leicester keep making. In this situation, for those of you that are listening on the podcast, I will try and be as visual as I can with my explanations. But obviously, you've got blue markers here and orange ones there. So obviously, this is the Leicester defence. The issue was that when a ball was played into this area, and obviously you'd have the Napoli attack trying to breach them gaps, probably really pushing more into the players than going past them, but kind of doing a mix of that in between. The problem is all Leicester's defence was worried about was getting back as quick as possible to the ball, whichever way they end up getting to it, and then they were sending that ball straight back to the goalkeeper. And the thing is, when that high press is like that, what that doesn't allow is any recovery from anywhere from here onwards. Cannot recover in time for Casper to play a short ball to the recovering defence, to then play an instant ball forward to get Leicester on the front foot. When Leicester was slow and methodical and were passing it around the back, it was purely on their own basis. I'll try and give another example of it here for Napoli's decisive goal on the night. Just clear that off. There goes the play. He must have gone down quicker than an Italian on a football pitch. But for the goal, and this is one of the things that I will touch on, and this was the same. And it didn't matter if it was in our own box, if it was at the halfway line, it was the edge of their box. Leicester do a defensive U. And what I mean by that is the guy will have the ball on the wing. So someone will stand relatively near him. Someone will then stand just a little bit on in case that person gets beat. And then another player will stand roughly here trying to cut out anybody running through that gap. So you've got a really awkward shape here, because I'm hard to do it side-headed. but you've got a defensive view, and this is what I was talking about leaving one side open, that concentrates on any potential danger coming through here, again with these players, which would be 3 players in that sort of position, to try and force the man to stay out wide. But what that allows them to do is give them all this area, and my pen's dying on me, to cross the 6-yard box for this guy to get the ball, and they don't change it. They don't really change it. They don't notice that he's drifted in from the right-hand side. The ball gets played across. You can't attack it if you're a goalkeeper.
Right, you might just want to change your camera a little bit because we're losing the right winger there a bit, I think.
Right winger, which one are you losing, mate?
The top one.
Oh, sorry, do apologise.
Yeah.
Let me just back that up. Yeah. Is that better? That looks better.
That's brilliant, mate.
Okay. So the problem is Leicester attacking in this U, being so cautious of what's coming through this area here, which is on that attacking right side in this case, that they're not noticing the midfielder or attacker coming around the back of them, because they're so worried about what's going on, that what Leicester really do is, up until that ball comes across, is Leicester have all their defenders were looking at one thing and one thing only. And it wasn't the on-rushing players, it wasn't the person on the ball, it was the ball in general. They followed that ball, and they do it in a defensive unit all around. And that's why that ball, when it came across, was left free, and that's why Napoli got the goal. So when they do it in an attacking sense, and they're pushing in up towards and try and score past Napoli, they don't change it either. And this is what I mean why it's so obvious. Because let's just say that Leicester are pressing Napoli out on the left. What they do is they form a U around the person who's got the ball, form a identical U to the pressing here on the left-hand side, in a cuddled formation. You'll have a Napoli player there, and then every time, and you go back and watch the game, on the halfway line, in the defensive half, in our box, didn't matter where it was, didn't matter which side it was, even if it was switched over to this side, you had the same defensive style U, where the pressure was realistically put around the ball and the closest to it, which was probably 1 or 2 Napoli players at the time. And I do apologise that the camera keeps moving and I can't sort that out. So what that meant is if Napoli could get away with it and get their loose pass off, that they then had a free option to spread the ball out wide, and then all of a sudden Leicester became like a flying V. And, the Italians falling over again. Can't help that. It's the Italians. They'd come in a flying V in urgency to then try and smother the gap, to let them catch up, to reshuffle themselves, and just go into another defensive view. And Leicester did that at every stage of the pitch. Like I said, when they were running out of the box, when they were trying to press them at the halfway line, and when they were running back facing the goal. Biggest problem is just nobody seems to be looking at what's going on around them and behind them. They're so focused on playing chase the ball that they're just leaving so many obvious gaps and spaces. And it's just not working for us. And what we still figure today, that we still haven't been able to figure out, is when we find ourselves in a position, at a particular point in the game where we're chasing the game, whether we're 1-0 down, 2-0 down, and especially in the second half, is we don't know what to do when teams go from pressing us like that to dropping back 5 yards. 5 yards is all they have to drop back. And our defence in midfield, when they get that ball, don't know what to do with it. They don't know if to press forward. They don't know if to step sideways like they normally do. So what normally happens is Leicester go, "Oi, keeper, have the ball. We don't know what to do with it." The problem is, it's that predictable. I don't think I could do. I don't need to do this tactical analysis for this, because I think Josh could have picked up one of the issues that Leicester are having. The defensive view, the one-sided focus, and the following of the ball and not the player is what's constantly costing Leicester. It's just one problem after another, Chris. But yeah, that's the main exploits of tonight's game.
Can I just say it was nice to see the fact that you've managed to come up with something different for the game. That it's not the same thing every week, and
Could do, mate. No, couldn't I? That's the thing. That's the sad thing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that, Brad. As always, maybe we could do with you nipping down to the training field and doing that.
Yeah, I'd shout 10-yard pass it and that scare
them. Man of the match, player of the match, and this is what Alan, who obviously does our official one for the website, lcfc.com, has gone. Man of the match, I'd have to agree with him, Kieran Dewsbury Hall. Manager 2, I don't know if he deserves that, to be honest with you. Team 4. Come to you first of all, Josh. Agree, disagree?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, mate. I thought, and it's a shame really that, you know, one of the youngest players we've got and one of the most probably inexperienced, you know, Premier League and Europa League players for us is putting the best show in, to be honest with you. I agree with that, mate. I thought Dewsbury looked like he wanted it all game. He was always there as an option to pass to. He ran his socks off, took his goal really well, deserved his goal. It's just a shame that his goal ain't really gone to count for anything, unfortunately.
Brad, yourself?
For the numbers, I think the only reason the team get such a low number is because they're following the instructions of the man sat in the dugouts. I think there were some players that showed the urgency, and you know, when we did have good moments in that in both halves. We weren't completely terrible as it may have seemed. It's just when push came to shove, as you could say, Napoli's moments were more critical and more crucial and more taken advantage of than Leicester did with their scenarios. But yeah, 2s and 4s, I can understand why. Dewsbury Hall was the only one I'd put a name on saying that did anything for any note, that looked hungry, that looked like he wanted to keep us in Europe.
Yeah.
But you got to keep seeing these scores. I mean, the one thing that is kind of worrying is how many seasons are Leicester going to have where we're talking about a youth player and we're going to be talking about Dewsbury Hall probably come the end of the season going, well, he probably played more games than he would have been expecting. Because we did the same with Thomas, we did the same with James Justin. I know, all right, injuries, fair dues, but we had Chilwell, so there wasn't always a need for him to be there.
And he's 23. He's not youth, really, is he?
I know. All right. Okay, Dewsbury Hall, fair dues.
But I take your point. But I'm just saying, how much longer can we actually call these people youth players when, you know, they're 23? And Rooney at that age had probably had about five full seasons under his belt.
Yeah, but I also remember in the 90s when we used to have Sam McMahon and players like that coming at 23 being called youngsters. I mean, we signed Graham Fenton from Blackburn when he was, about 23, 24? And he will still look as a player that's going to break into the team, get in there. Football's just a completely different game. I understand that he's probably been knocking on the door for a few seasons.
The age I am, you could probably put Alan Birchnell back on and I could call him a youth player.
Yeah.
I'll get to each of you individually now.
Fenton.
And first of all, I'm going to talk to you each quickly about one player separately. So, first of all, I'll come to you, Josh. Would you have started Daka tonight or Vardy? Vardy hasn't scored in Europe, basically, because we've not played him. And that's not a criticism, he hasn't. Daka, when Napoli know that this is the guy that got 4 in one game, surely just seeing he's not on the score sheet, you're thinking, ooh, that's good.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and looking back on it, I would have started Daka. Yeah, I think Vardy were ineffective tonight, really. I think Daka would have offered us a lot more. I think the Napoli defence and maybe been a bit more cautious and a bit more wary if Daka had started. Excuse me. But yeah, I'd have definitely started Daka. Also, because I thought he played really well on Sunday as well, and I thought that merited a start for him. And like I say, his Europa League campaign this season speaks for itself. So for me, yeah, he should have started.
I think, as I say, it's just as a Lazio player, I would be more worried, or a Lazio defender, about Daka being on because of what he's done this season in the Euros. Brad, I'm going to ask you about Casper, because there's a lot of people out there. I mean, you know, what he's done for the club, the saves are made, the games he's kept us in, obviously is amazing. You can blame the defence in front of him for so much, but he is part of that defence. He is trying to organise that defence. Is it time to rest him and bring Ward in?
I mean, I wouldn't argue against it. I mean, it's probably the first time since Peggy Arfaxad that I've had a second choice keeper that I trust to step in and have a good run of games in the Premier League and not be fearing that we're going to get thumped more than 2 or 3 goals past us at the moment. I would be interested to make the call and say, you know, last season I said, and a lot of people agreed with me, that Maddison was given a hell of a lot of responsibilities. And I think they've fallen back into the trap of trying to make the most of Maddison on form by putting him on every single corner and free kick again, which I think is ridiculous. But I think maybe I wouldn't be against Ward getting a start against Newcastle. Again, I'd be very happy for him. I'm kind of glad he didn't start tonight because I think this is a horrible sort of game when you've not played a lot of football. In fact, you probably played more football for your country than you have for your league side. That you don't really want to be coming into that because you're no game time, etc. But Newcastle, I'd be happy to see it with. But my first step, maybe if I'm Brendan, is going to Casper and going, right, I'm sorry, but as much as you are great with your voice, I need you to focus on your job, which is to race out the box, make these saves, get the ball kicked up. I don't need you taking 2 minutes to take a goal kick because you're trying to position every Tom, Dick and Harry around the pitch. Evans, take the armband. You are the captain out on that pitch. I don't care if you give him a Morgan role and say he's like the joint captain in the changing room sort of thing.
Yeah.
You can have a captain that doesn't do his voice work but does it on the pitch. But I think maybe it's time that we give it to an outfield player like Evans.
Yeah.
Give that experience head the job.
I mean, well, yeah, point well made. And we are still in Europe, I guess. And I remember saying at the start of the season, you know, we've got to think we're Leicester and we wouldn't grumble if we're in the Europa Conference League. Well, we are now. So, be
careful what you wish for, eh?
Well, exactly. And I'm not going to sort of say, is it a must-win game this weekend? Because I think it is. You two both, I think, gave Brendan until January. The vote ended, and it was 44% want him to stay, 56% want him out. Almost as close as Brexit. What can I say?
Almost as close as 10 Downing Street was for a party.
Yeah.
I said it out loud.
Let's approach Graham Potter. Come on, Graham. Get in there.
Right, it was nice working on this show.
I'm joking. Josh and Brad, thank you very much. Unfortunately, not happy circumstances, but it gives us more to talk about.
Just want to say two positives from me this week.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Leicester, but they've made me quite happy. I had my first Cinnabon from Asda in Thurmaston yesterday or day before, and it was amazing. If you get the chance, get to Cinnabon, absolutely incredible. And there's a good show on Sky called Yellow Jackets. If anybody's stuck for something to watch, get on that. It's absolutely fantastic.
I've got to be honest with you, I haven't got Sky, but if anybody can recommend me, I've just finished a 15-series show on Netflix. So if anybody can recommend me something good on either Netflix or Amazon, let me know. I need something new.
I don't know about Netflix or Amazon, mate, but if you want to get, right, and this goes out to every Leicester fan, if you want to go and watch how Brandon Rodgers gets all his tactics from, I don't know if anyone will remember this show, but if you haven't, go and try and find an episode of it on YouTube, right? It's called Renford Rejects. And if you're around about my age and maybe watched them as a kid, it was like a mock, like 6 or 7 aside team that were really awful. and one guy pretended that his uncle's Gianfranco Zola, and I'm thinking that's where he's starting to get his tactics from. So if you go and check that out, you might figure out Leicester's tactics. That's really why I'm getting my research from. I'm not all this know-it-all tactics. I just watched an episode of that, and I know it's about half right with them.
Well, I'm off. Did you say Asda for those buns?
Cinnabon, mate. Yeah, they tell you what. They've just I think they've opened like a chain in Asda superstores. Absolutely amazing, really, and it will really cheer you up as well. Trust me.
Welcome to the food channel.
Cinnabon and start Yellow Jackets on Sky, and you're happy. Trust me. You'll forget all about this result tonight. I promise you.
Are they sort of laced with anything at all? Is this what you're trying to tell us?
You can lace them whatever you want, to be honest with you.
Josh has suddenly just turned into our nippon with his food. Guys, what can I say? Yet another defeat, but this is Leicester. We should expect nothing less, should we? We're never going to do... We'll probably go on now. Like I say, we'll lose to Everton. We'll lose to Newcastle. We'll beat Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. We'll beat Man City on Boxing Day and Liverpool whenever we're playing them. And we'll go ahead and win the Europa Conference. And that would be something, winning the inaugural Europa Conference, something no other team has done before. That would be Leicester all over, wouldn't it?
It would indeed.
You know what? It'd be Leicester all over to go on and win that and suddenly go on a surge and finish fourth.
Yeah. Well, I'd take that.
I wouldn't all, mate. You know, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm just saying it would be typical Leicester to go on a surge in the league.
It would be. It would be. We should be used to it, but we're just not, are we?
No.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
No. Well,
I mean, I still believe England might not lose the first Ashes test. That shows you how much my hope hangs out. If you can,
I think you just need to give up on life.
Oh dear, yeah. Well,
I don't know, you know, burst your bubble or anything here, mate. But yeah, I think there's no chance of that either. You know, you can't even go and watch the cricket. Hey, rugby's back. Leicester rugby's doing well this season. Maybe that's what we should be following. Put a tiger in the race.
Right.
Yeah. Guys, thank you both so much, and we'll speak soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good weekend.
Cheers, chaps. See you again, Josh. Look after yourself, lads.
And you as well. Take care. Thanks very much. Thanks to Josh. Thanks to Brad. The guys know what they're talking about more than I do. This is coming up. £7:00 tomorrow. It's the preview show for the Newcastle game, and Brad will be back with me. We're just conjoined twins. That's all we are. I got the looks. Trying to still work out what Brad got. and I'm going to sandwich that between two Newcastle shows tomorrow that I'm on as well. And Brad's on a Newcastle show as well. So between Newcastle suddenly want us. I wonder why that is. 4-2 they did us, remember, the end of last season. It couldn't happen again, could it? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all tomorrow night at 7. Good night.
Thank you for watching. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City.
Come on, you foxes!